You've been looking. I know you've been looking and searching, thinking that they was gonna give you something, honey. They can't give it. They ain't got it to give. Okay. Peace, family. Peace, 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 peace. All right. I hope you guys are having a phenomenal day. If not, do understand and get your day is going to get better. Once your perception gets better, your day is going to get better once your perception gets better. So if you are new to my channel, my name is Dina Bryant. I do these inspirational videos just talking about mindset, beliefs, and how we can shift our energy. So today's video is about self-love, okay? And for a good amount of my life, I have experienced not knowing how to love myself, okay? Thinking that the love that I desired, it had to come outside. It had to come from outside. Thinking that love had an address, okay? And it was from me being sick and tired of being in the relationships that I was in, me being sick and tired of getting the same exact thing over and over again, that I knew I needed to start taking a look at me and see exactly how I was showing up. For a good amount of years, like when I was younger, I had pretty much a low self-esteem about myself. In fact, I didn't even know. It was brought to my attention because, and the reason I say I don't know, because I know some of you guys like, hey, you ain't know you had a low self-esteem, girl, right? I had a good friend, and many of you guys may have heard this story already, but just in case if you haven't, I had a good friend of mine who was a male, and me and him, we worked together at this hardware store. And whenever I would go through, I would be in a relationship or I would be in a benefits, like, messing with somebody and it's just benefits, okay? It's just intimacy. I remember I would go to this friend and I would tell him like everything that was going on in my life. And the first thing I would say to him, I would be like, don't judge me, right? Because the truth of the matter was I was already judging myself. And I remember one of the things he had said to me, after so many years of him giving me counsel, right? One day he said to me, he said, Dina, if you keep going the way you're going, you're going to get in your 30s and you're never going to know what love feels like. And that scared me. He also said, you have a very low self-esteem about yourself. And I was like, no, I don't. I was so in denial. And the reason being because I used to think, if I have makeup on, then that makes me beautiful, right? If my hair is done, then that makes me beautiful. If I have some new shoes on, okay, I'm that girl, okay? I never looked at myself back then in a sense where as though I'm that girl just because I'm that girl, okay? And I remember he told me, my self-esteem was low. And I was in denial. I was like, no, it's not, because I get my hair done every 2 weeks. I go shopping and here was the guy that I was going to for advice and telling him about the type of guys that I was messing with. And he was telling me like, no, your self-esteem is low. And it was really low. I was insecure. If I seen people whispering, and looking at me, I automatically thought they was talking about me. um Relationships I would enter into just looking for love, feeling like this person was going to give me something that I couldn't give myself. And all of that is stems from childhood, right? Now, our parents did the best that they knew how to do, okay? But it's up to us to start doing what we say we did not receive as a child. Now, my mother and my father, they did the best that they knew how to do, and it's books that I highly, highly recommend you guys go out and get. And the first one being is by Don Miguel, Mastery of Love. Okay, the Mastery of Love. The same exact author of Four Agreements. Okay, be impeccable with your words, girl. All right. So this book is really, really good. And in this book, it talks about, pretty much how could somebody give you something they never had. It also talks about domestication, like us when we was children fighting pretty much like for our parents' love, and trying to be at our best behavior, on our best behavior, in order for us to receive it. Another book is The Way to Love, and I have been reading this book lately. Anthony DeMello's, very, very good, very, very good. So after being in relationships, okay, my last relationship, first of all, the type of relationships I would get into was, and I never could make the correlation like why I would get into certain relationships. A lot of times we say, oh, because I just like that person, that's why I got in a relationship with him. But honey dear, it goes deeper than that. Okay, first of all, we attract exactly what we are, not what we say we want, but what we are. And I would go after guys that were like me. And at the time I didn't know it, but who were insecure, who was, like I could put into a box. I could pretty much control them. I would use my looks, okay, as a way of, going after somebody that I probably wouldn't have really wanted to be with, but I settled for because I felt like, well, this is the best thing I can get. So let me just be with this guy. And then oftentimes when I would be in a relationship with them, I would be like, oh my goodness, like I would be looking at other guys. I would be looking at other guys and be like, damn, I could have had this guy, right? And so I started doing work with myself, self-love, right? How to start loving yourself. First of all, I think we have to forgive. We definitely have to forgive. Like for me, it's like forgiving my parents, forgiving, my aunt who raised me for 7 years, and forgiving people who I was in a relationship with. And hear me out about forgiveness, because forgiveness isn't like, well, me and you could be back together, or me and you could be friends, or you could still be a part of my life. Forgiveness simply to me means that, I forgive you for thinking that you could have done other than what you was programmed to do, right? I forgive you for thinking that you could have given me something that you felt you was incapable of, right? And then on a deeper level, then forgiving myself for looking for love outside myself, forgiving myself for thinking that I couldn't love myself, forgiving myself for entering into relationships and not paying attention to the telltale signs, not paying attention to the red flags, wanting to, cover the red flags with perhaps blue or orange, okay? Just not trusting people for them demonstrating exactly who they are, okay, and who they are pretending to be. And the reason I say are and pretending to be is because many of us think that the person that we've been programmed to be is just us. And that is so far from the truth, okay? And then pretending to be is because you show up like you this person that you've been programmed to believe, okay? Like this person that is a perfectionist, always have to have everything in order. You know, you can't make mistakes, and if you make a mistake, you pretty much really hard on yourself, you know, in that aspect. So I had started forgiving myself. I started doing the work on myself. I had my spiritual awakening in 2018, and I just seen that everything that I was programmed to believe, it just was not. It was not true. You know, thinking that materialized things was gonna give me something, right? It was gonna give me the love that I desired. It was gonna make me beautiful, you know, all these different things. And so the first step to me is forgiveness. And the next step is affirmations, right? So I am a person that do affirmations. I don't do them every day like I used to, but I do affirmations, and affirmations is pretty much positive self-talk. You bigging yourself up. I am beautiful. I am gorgeous. Okay. I am intelligent. I am smart. I am bright. I am kind. I am loved. I deserve love. I am confident. I am brave. You know, and just constantly telling yourself those things. And for a large amount of years, a lot of us did not or do not do affirmations because perhaps when you was a child and you probably got in the mirror and said, oh my goodness, I look so good, right? Perhaps it was an adult who probably said to you, you don't say that, you let other people tell you that. And so that's where the program first began, because now you're thinking that someone else's words are more important than yours. The next step is pause. Pause, boo. Okay? And when I say pause, what I mean is when it comes to relationships. Oftentimes we like, well, I just got out of that relationship. Let me hurry up and get into the next relationship. Because perhaps you don't want to be by yourself. Perhaps you listening to that chatter that's going on in your mind, that your neighbors, they gonna see that you ain't no man been coming to your house. You know, all these different things, because that's sure what used to go on in my mind, okay? That your family, they gonna see that, you know, you not with that guy no more. It didn't work out, you know, all these different things. But what I really started understanding was that if my next relationship, which it is, gonna be better than my last relationship, I need to pause and I need to do the work on me and see how I attracted the men that I attracted, right? And if I don't want to attract those type of men any longer, then I have to take accountability and responsibility on how I was showing up. And that's another big thing, accountability and responsibility. I remember I was doing a video on Facebook Live, and I was talking about self-love and how, you know, the relationships that we get into is like is really is a reflection of us. Okay, so if this person talking to you reckless and you accept that, that's because you talk to yourself reckless. If this person is not keeping a word to you, that's because you don't keep your word to yourself. When you say you gonna work out, you probably don't show up. Okay? When you say you gonna do this, you probably don't do it. So that before anybody do anything to us, we do it to ourselves. Okay? And we have to take accountability and responsibility of that, because if not, we'll always keep blaming the outside world for why we get what we get. And it's like we want the outside world to change before we do the changing within. Okay. And I was talking on Facebook, and it was this young lady who I worked with. Okay. And one of the things she was saying, she was like, yeah, but what about the men? And she was on my live. And one of the things I said, but the men, I said, but you on a live, because she was pretty much saying, like, yeah, but these men, they be acting, a certain type of way. And I said, yeah, but you the one that's on my live. And if you paying attention to what they're doing, okay, then you're gonna always think that it's them. But how did you attract them? See, we wasn't taught this for the most part. I wasn't, okay, taught this growing up. Right. Oftentimes we say, well, I just like the person. That's how I attracted them. We just like one another. But it goes deeper than that, because before you seen them, okay, before you seen their physicalities or anything like that, you attracted them before you seen them. And I'm talking about your energy. If you think that you're not good enough, you're going to attract other people who think that they're not good enough. If you think that you don't deserve love, you're going to attract other people who feel that they don't deserve love. If you think that you got to go the extra mile, okay? I remember when I would be in relationships, I would be thinking that, oh, I got to do all these different things, right? And I would be doing those things already, but I felt like I had to do them, because if not, then the guy probably will leave me, right? Like having intimacy with them, right? Perhaps I didn't feel like it or didn't really want to that night. But I would do it. I would go along with it, because a part of me was like, oh, well, they may leave. They may get it from somewhere else. And, all these different things. And I'm just so happy the journey that I'm on right now, to see and understand that all the things that I was looking for outside myself, I could give it to myself, right? The next step is to talk to your inner child. Okay, now I know a lot of us, we wasn't taught that neither, but I remember I went to a therapist a few years ago, and I was just sick and tired of playing a cat and mouse game, with the rules. Well, if he don't call you, or if he act up, put him on block, which I still put the boys on block. Okay, well, just this one particular one. I still put him on block, because if he talk reckless, he just go on block. And that part is just pretty much a self-respect thing, okay? Because you ain't gonna talk to me reckless, okay? And you're gonna be on block if you do. So anyway, but I was just so sick and tired of the playing a cat and mouse game, playing hard to get, things like that. And I remember I went to this therapist, and I explained to him like what I was going through, okay, growing through. And one of the things he said was, he was like, he kept complimenting me for my resilience. And another thing he was saying, he was like, Dina is the inner child, that don't want to feel abandoned. And so when that inner child, wants you to stay in these relationships, you got to put your big girl panties on and pretty much not allow it, right? And I talked to my inner child just the other day. I know it's this thing called hope. I don't know if it's I want to say Hocus Pocus, but I'm like, girl, that was a damn movie. Okay. I forgot the name of it, but it was a guy who used to write inmates and pretty much tell them, and I'm quite sure you guys will correct me in the comments, who used to tell the inmates, like how he was sorry for what he did to them, and I guess like acting like he was the person who betrayed them in some way. And it worked. the inmates, I believe that they start changing because it's like now they have closure or whatever it was. But the other day I looked at my picture, like I have one picture of me when I was a child, and I looked at the picture and I just started crying. I just really started crying and saying, like, this is for you. I'm showing up for you and stuff like that. And it's really important that you show up for yourself, okay? And that's the next step. Show up for yourself, okay? Accept yourself. And when I say accept yourself, show up for you, this is what I mean. Whatever it is that you desire to do, whatever gift that you have within you, show up for you. Okay? You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to have it all together. Okay? After I had my spiritual awakening, I remember I started showing up with my hair sticking up on top of my head. Okay? Because I was past the illusions of knowing that these things cannot give me anything that I feel like I am missing. I am already complete. So you giving me a compliment, honey. I gave myself that compliment already, right? And I started operating that way, and knowing that I can only give myself that love, and yes, others can give us love, right? But it's just simply or merely an add-on. It's not, if you like a person that's like, well, I want them to give me love, why they don't give me the love, right? The question should be, why don't you give yourself the love? And if you feel like that they're not doing something, or they're not reciprocating the same exact energy, then you got to ask yourself, why are you in that relationship? See, my last relationship, I knew that relationship, it was done. Like, my inner child wanted to stay in a relationship, but my higher self knew that relationship, it was a purposeful relationship. But I knew that me and him, we were not going to be together any longer. And that was simply because I started doing the work on myself. I started reading the books, okay? I started meditating. I started working out. So each and every day I was looking to advance. I was looking, how could I become a better person? And I would challenge myself. And that's another thing, challenge yourself. Challenge yourself. When I first started doing these videos, it was a challenge. I was a little afraid to do these videos when I first showed up. But when I got the download to do videos and get people out the matrix, I showed up. And I started doing the videos. So you have to challenge yourself. Another thing is, to me, is get in the mirror. And I know I said, earlier about the mirror, but get in the mirror. And what I would say is get in the mirror naked. Now some of you guys like, what? Right? And the reason I say that is because it is. It's some people that feel like, and I used to be one of those some people who felt like, that really couldn't look at their body like that in the mirror. But I wasn't like that for a long time because, honey, I started walking around the house, Komodo, okay? I guess that's what you call it. And just like, being proud of my body. It's my goddamn body, okay? And I know it's some women who feel like they can't look at themselves or look at their body in a mirror because of however their body may look. And I am here to tell you that, it is wrong to say, I hate this. I hate the way my lips look. I hate the way, whatever it is, whatever you may say you hate on your body, that is wrong. Or maybe perhaps you overweight and you say, "Oh, I hate the way," the proper terminology is, I love the way my body is, but I know I can do better. Like, yeah, you may be overweight, but I know I can do better than this. And show up for yourself. Whether it's 4-minute workout, you want to do things that are, the disciplines that's small, because then later on you will be able to do the ginormous disciplines. But if you go out the gate and say, well, I'm going to do the big disciplines now, right? It may not be sustainable. You may not last. So it's important to do the small disciplines. And let me tell you something. You are capable. You are capable. You are able to change your life. And I believe in you guys. If I'm able to change my life, we all have the ability and power to change our lives. And there's people that's been in worse situations than you growing up that did the work and is doing the work on themselves and has changed their lives. So you know different. It doesn't matter your skin color. It doesn't matter your upbringing. None of those things matter. The universe is just going to give you exactly what you are. And so another step I would highly recommend is deprogramming. Now, and I mentioned earlier that we all been pretty much programmed to a certain degree, from society, from our parents, from school, from our peers. We all been programmed, and we have to change the programming, because if not, we'll keep on doing the same exact thing. And so how do I change my programming? I study each and every morning. I listen to Bob Proctor, Paradigm Shift, which is your paradigm, which is pretty much your habits, things that you tend to do on a day and out basis. Okay. And it makes you become aware. You start becoming aware. Oh, I do this because I seen my parents do this, and start taking accountability. And I read. And I used to have this one guy who I was in a relationship with, who was my biggest motivator. And he always used to say, go read a book. And then I started reading the books. Okay. Read the book so much that I seen that the relationship was not going anywhere. Okay. So you have to understand that before you can love anyone, before you can love your children, before you can love, your brother or sisters, before you love anyone, you have to love yourself. It starts with home, okay? And I know I said love does not have an address, okay? Because sometimes, you may be looking like, where's the love, okay? Right? But love doesn't have an address. And when you focus and put that energy back into yourself, it feels so good to be able to be in a house like with myself and comfortable with myself, doing a 2-step and also do what works for you. Okay, you'll have so many people saying, oh, well, do this. Always do what works for you. But if you see what you doing that you think that's working for you, but you saying to yourself, well, why keep winding up here? Then that means perhaps that doesn't work. That system, that programming, it does not work for you. Another thing is this. You should not be in competition with anyone. The reason being is, honey, because you are one of a kind. Okay? And you do not need to be in competition when it comes to relationships. Okay? Understand your superpowers. Okay? Understand that your uniqueness is where it's at. Okay? And by you being unique and staying true to yourself, honey, that's the best love. Okay? Is the self love.